With tasks from NetDocuments, users can build customized task lists and subtasks within the workspaces to track activity and progress, all from one little convenient location. Also, each user will have a My Tasks view, which allows them to quickly and easily see all of the tasks assigned to them and create them in a nice, concise list form. To get started, here I am in a Client Matter workspace, and I have selected the task location right here, usually along the far right-hand side underneath the name of the workspace. Once you click this, because we haven't created anything yet, you'll see a notice down here that we don't have any boards. It's not completely obvious, but when you hover over the text, create the first one and manage your tasks, this is actually a link, and when you click on it, it'll ask you to create one and assign it a name. So we'll create one. Remember, when you're creating a task board, this board would want to have a name that is relative to the work that will be assigned to it or what you'll be using it to track. In this case, I'm going to talk about park development for this particular client in Matter. So we'll type in a name. We'll leave the default layout and we'll choose OK. Once that's created, it's going to give you a set of different columns here. These columns are laid out in what is kind of universally called a Kanban board. You could think of it like if you had Post-it notes all formed up in different columns, and each column represents some type of workflow. Now, how you design that will be up to you, but the way a lot of people will do this for some other firms is they will have maybe a beginning Kanban column here for onboarding, and then maybe the second will be in progress, and then the final one will be closing. And then you can move tasks from one to the other. Just as an example, I'll change by clicking on the kebab menu here. I can edit the title of this first one, and maybe we'll type in onboard. And then for the second one, you can click that and rename in the third one as well. Now, when it comes to adding a task to one of the columns, very simply go down to the bottom where it says add a task name and type in the name of the task that you'd like to create. So for example, in this one that I'm creating here as your demo, I'm going to create one that talks about a new playground. And I'll just simply just press enter. Now that's going to add the task. To add details to this, we'll click on it, and this is where you can start to fill in. Think of it like an outline, and now we're going to flesh it out a little bit. So here we can add more of a description. You can actually have subtasks that might be related to this. So as an example, I might put rubber bark, and I'll simply just press enter, and when I do, it just makes a little checklist of items here. You can also assign documents to be associated with this particular task. So if I go to add workspace documents, obviously it's going to be pulling documents or showing me documents from the workspace that I'm currently in. When I click on that, it'll show me a list of documents. I can put a check mark next to one or many of them and choose add. And that conveniently puts the document here so the person can easily click on the document here, open it up, and start to work on it directly out of NetDocuments. Next is comments. Comments are here so that as you're working in this, either for yourself or those of which you're working with as part of this workflow can add comments, and it'll group them all together as part of this little project or card that you're working on to track everything all together. Just like that. Now, up under the details, I want to go back to that tab. You'll notice over to the right-hand side, we have a due date, so you can add that. You have the ability to add that to your calendar. You can add an estimate of how much time you think this will take, add a color to help you organize it, and then you could assign this to certain people. You could assign yourself, and if I click that link, it will automatically add me in. If I needed to add someone else to that, I could choose to do so, and it would add that person to that list. When you add somebody to a task card, they will get an email notifying them that they have a task so they know where to come and look, and it'll provide a convenient link for them to get over to it as well. There's also a section for tags, and of course you can manage and create your own set of tags, and this would be for being able to organize or search for things that are related to a specific tag that you associate with these tasks that you create. I'll go ahead and click Save, and you'll see here's our task card has been assigned. And if we're going to go from maybe our to-do items that we have here, and I'm going to drag that over to the I'm doing this column, I'll simply take the card and I'll drag and drop it over here, and now it is part of this visual column that we're doing. Now, another way that I have seen this operate, because this is one way, where you have each column represent a portion of the workflow or progress that a task may go through. I've also seen it where you may have names of attorneys that will be up here, and then you will drag these task cards around to the attorney that is working on it. And of course, as a courtesy, you typically are going to assign their name to it inside the task card so they get notifications about that being assigned or moved to a different location. Once something is completed, I can simply open that up, and you'll see that there's a little checkbox up here where I can make that complete. There's also one up here for copy if you need to duplicate something as well. I'll go ahead and mark this complete. And when I do, you'll see that it puts a little check mark next to it here to notify that it's been completed. Now, completed task cards will stay in place. You can still move them around if you need to. And even at that case, if you don't want them to appear anymore, when you open it up, you'll notice that there is an archive option up here. If you click this, it'll hide it from the view that you currently have here. You won't be able to see it because it's not an active card or something that you're working on or have completed. But if you want to view them, you very simply go over to the Apply filter over here on the left-hand side. You have different options that you can use for viewing, but including Show Archived. And when you flip that on, you'll see that the archive item will show up or disappear depending on whether or not you have that turned on or not. So that's how you can view those items. Now, in addition to this, when you go to your home page for yourself, if a task is assigned to you and you go up to My Tasks up here at the very top blue bar, any task card that has been assigned to you directly will then show up in this list here. And these are regardless of what client or matter or workspace they're in. If you're assigned to the task, it will show up here, and it'll tell you what workspace or client matter folder it's located in and what board it's on as well. So that's the simple use of tasks to help improve workflow, tracking work, and being able to communicate with each other using the option within NetDocuments.